Be'ez Hashem, we're going to start Siman Zayin in Maamar Shalosh Shevuos. Now, we're holding by a kasha that Bizman Hazeh, the Maram Rottenberg said that only the husband could force the wife to go to Eretz Yisrael, and the wife cannot force the husband. And forcing, of course, means in this context that if one of them wants to go and the other one doesn't, that one loses the ksuba. So let's say the wife wants to go and the husband doesn't, he has to pay her the ksuba and divorce her, and then she'll go. And if the husband wants to go and the wife doesn't, then he can give her a get and not the ksuba, and go up by himself to Eretz Yisrael. Okay? And the Rabbi Rottenberg said that that's only in the time of the Gemara, but in the Bizman Hazeh, he's basing on the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says that Bizman Hazeh, after Churban Beis HaMikdash, only the man could have that power, not the wife. So the question was, we explained in the previous Siman why the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael became less Bizman Hazeh. First of all, there's no din of that if you live in Chutz La'aretz, it's like you're Oved Avodah Zarah, because everywhere is the same. No matter where you are, you're Ki'lu Oved Avodah Zarah. And secondly, because the chiyuv, the mitzvah, the mila that was in the times of the Beis HaMikdash is not Bizman Hazeh. He says the Gzeres HaGolus. It's the Ritva and Yuma Daf Lamed Ches that says that the Gzeres HaGolus says you didn't have to be all over the world, so there's no chiyuv to be oil Bizman Hazeh. It's only an optional thing. So because of all those reasons, that's why it's less. But the question is, why is it less only Lagabe the husband and the wife, and not Lagabe the husband? Okay? So he says like this. That I'm going to explain a different reason, not like the Bach. That's what he means at Oid Tam. The Hinei Mevur b'Shulchan Aruch Evan Ho'ezer Siman Ayin Hey B'Sif Daled B'Ramah Al Hach Dina Da'Kol Malin She'ein Lo Ksuba Shezed Davka Im Nisha B'Eretz Yisrael. He says that the Shulchan Aruch says that this din that the husband could force the wife and then give her a get and no ksuba is only if he goes to live in Eretz Yisrael and he stays there. Let's say the husband goes to Eretz Yisrael and then he stays a couple of years and he comes back. Then he has to pay her or her yorshim, her heirs, the ksuba. Why? Because we see that the whole thing was a trick, that he just wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael to get pater from the ksuba. So if he comes back, it's megala. It reveals that his intention was just to trick her. Because of Abei Shmuel, that it comes out that the reason why he went to Eretz Yisrael was only because of a trick. Even if he gave her a get already and he didn't pay the ksuba, he has to pay now. You see here that the din of forcing someone to go to Eretz Yisrael is not just across the boards. It has a condition to it, that the person has to mean l'shem shemayim. He has to really want to go to Eretz Yisrael. If he's just doing it for a trick, then the din doesn't apply.
Well, so much for those who say, I love Israel, go, and they come back.
Right.
So much for those who say, live in Israel, it's the best, you were never there, and yet they come back. So much for them.
All right. So this is so what he's going to do with this is he's going to say that by the wife we could have the same kind of trick. Here the husband, what's his trick? He wants to get pater from the ksuba.
Yes.
The wife has a different kind of trick. She wants to get pater from the whole marriage. Because the pshat is like this: the husband could give a get against the wife's will, from the din of the Gemara. Rabbeinu Gershom astered it. But in the time of the Gemara, a husband could divorce his wife, no matter what.
But he still has to pay off his responsibility, which is why he won't want to do it automatically. Because he still has a lot of money to pay off for that.
Right. So that's why there's such a thing as a ksuba, to prevent just any man from just waking up one morning and saying, oh, I like someone else better, I'm going to divorce you and marry her. And, it's like, it's going to become hefkeristic, so that the Torah made such a thing as a ksuba, that it's a deterrent.
Shouldn't have been shetach.
Yeah, well, that's the shayla if it's a deraisa or it's a derabanan, but there's such a thing as a ksuba for sure. Okay, so even if ksuba is not deraisa, the Rabbanan put it into effect because of this problem. Now, but here's the thing. Here he wants to get out of the ksuba. What does she want to get out of? She wants to get out of the marriage. Because she, let's say she would stay here, and let's say she would see another man that she likes better. She can't get out of the marriage. There's no way. She can't force him to give her a get. The only thing she could do is say, I'm going to Eretz Yisrael, and that's the din hakol malin. So she gets her get, she gets her ksuba too. She goes to Eretz Yisrael and she marries somebody else. So the Rebbe is going to say that's the pshat. That's why they were mevatel the din of the lady, that she could force her husband. Let's see inside. According to this, we have to think a little bit. The last Mishnah in Darim says, Isa, it says, that originally the din was 3 ladies could go out of the marriage and get a ksuba. The first of them was the lady who says, I was unfaithful to you. Now, the Gemara there says it's talking about a wife of a Cohen. A wife of a Yisrael, the din is that if she's unfaithful to him, if it was on purpose, if she meant to do it, then she loses her ksuba and she gets divorced, but she doesn't get the ksuba. Here it says not the ksuba. Elamai, if she did it b'oinus, she was forced to do it, she was raped, then she is still allowed to stay married to him if he's the Yisrael. So Elamai, we're talking here about an Eishes Cohen who can't be married to her even if she was nanas, even if she was forced. And she's saying, I was forced. Basically, that's what she's tying to him. She's saying, I was forced. I can't stay married to you, but I still get my ksuba because it wasn't my fault. Okay? So that was originally the din. Chazru loymar. Then Chazal changed the din. And they said, they were afraid that a wife would go and look at another man and say, I want to marry him. And she would make up this whole story in order to get a divorce and ruin her husband's life. So the Ran asks on the Darim, since according to the original din she was believed to say I'm unfaithful to you, she's forbidden to stay married to her husband because we believe her story. So then how are Chazal able to say, because of this danger of wives going and looking at other men, how are they able to say that the isser of her, to her husband is gone? The isser, where did it go? And it's important to understand there's 2 isserim here we're talking about the isser from the husband's point of view, that he hears the story from her, he has to believe it. And also from her own point of view, there's a din of shavia nafshe chaticha deisura. The din that when a person says that he's asur on something, even if we don't believe him, but since he said it, or she said it, she has to act accordingly. So even if we're not going to believe her, but she said it, so for herself at least she's believed. Okay? So the Ran asks this question. The Ran says, V'hevi diyesh mishatiritz. The Ran, first teretz, he brings down from the other Rishonim, and I think it's twice on the side of the Gemara in the Dharma. I copied it here. The Ran brings down the Yesh Mishatiritz, the Afagav the Medina Asura, even though Mikra Din she is asked to marry her, to stay married, but Shari La Rabbanan Umavatli Milsa Deraisa Bekum Vasei, that the Rabbanan have a right sometimes to suspend an Issa Deraisa and say Kum Vasei, say actually get up and be over on an Issa Deraisa. The Getter Gadol Gadol was there because it's a Getter Gadol. It's a very big, important emergency measure that the Rabbanan made to stop ladies from doing this thing of looking at other men and trying to get out of the marriage.
Wait, so you don't believe the lady that she was defiled just like that?
Yeah, we don't believe her. But even though Deraisa we do believe her, but the Rabbanan suspended the Deraisa because of this danger.
No, so a woman, shouldn't just think that she wants to marry somebody else, or so just make up a story.
Right. It's a preventative measure that they made. It's like once they said this, then now the lady will think twice before making up the story.
Yeah.
But Ilmaisa, it comes out, even if she's telling the truth, we still let her stay married because of this problem.
Yes. Okay.
So the Ran asks on this. Avakasha al zeh. The Ran asks, She'ein bezdin mastin lakor dav min haTorah, ela b'shevi al taseh. that the klal is that no, the Rabbanan don't have a right to say, go and be over an Aveira. The Rabbanan only have a right to say, don't do a mitzvah, like blowing shofar on Shabbos, right? The Rabbanan said, don't do it because we're afraid that you might carry the shofar. But they were mavatal mitzvah b'shevi al tas. They said, don't do the mitzvah. Oilo hayra shah. But sometimes they could also make a hayra shah, a temporary, like one-time only heter. Bilvad ke Eliyahu b'Har Carmel, like Eliyahu Navi built the mizbeach in Har Carmel and brought a korban on it, even though it was aser to bring the korban outside the Beis Mikdash. But for one time he could do it. But you can't make a kviyistic thing that's for all time. There's going to be a halacha that's against the Torah. That's the Ran's kasha. Umasik, the Ran comes out. The Ran says another teretz in between. I think he says that it's that the other teretz is the Rabbanim were oiked the kedusha l'mafreya. And then the final teretz of the Ran is the Mishnah Rishoin alav dina katani. That the first Mishnah, the first din that we said that the ladies believed was not really Mikra din. Really fakert, really midaraisa, she's not believed. But originally the Rabbanim believed her anyway, just l'chumra, to make her get a divorce, because they were afraid that maybe she's telling the truth. You're going to see. The Medina eino isha ne'menes loimer t'mei anilach. Really Mikra din, she's not believed to say that she's unfaithful. Why? Lahafkiya atzma mibayla, to break up her marriage. Shehi meshubedes loy, because she's obligated to him, and her obligation to him is so strong that it makes it impossible for her to break it with making up stories, even if it's a true story. Very interesting. And even Lagabe Shavia Nafshi, that's what's amazing about this.
But we need two witnesses anyhow. I do believe anyhow we need two witnesses to testify that...
Well, to get her killed for znus, you need two witnesses.
No, but like to testify that she was defiled, some man took further into his house, no?
No, you only need one. That's what it is by Soita. Soita, it says that if two Adam saw her go into a room with a man, and they don't see what happens in that room, she's a Soita. She has to drink the water and go through the whole Parsha Soita. But if one aide actually was in the room and saw her doing the Aveira, then she's Aser. One aide witness is enough. And here we're saying even the wife is enough of a witness. But only Midrabanan. Midaraisa, she can't say on herself. Midrabanan she could, but he's explaining an interesting thing. Why Midaraisa she can't? Because she's Meshubah to her husband. So that shibud, that obligation she has to stay with him, is so strong that she's not even believed. Even for herself. Like if she would aster herself, that would be effectively astering him, because if she can't do it, then he can't do it either. If she's aster to him, then he's not going to be able to live with her anymore. So that shibud makes her not believed even for herself.
Right. So even if she decides to purposely defile herself just to make herself aster to her husband, she's not believed.
Right. Unless she has a witness watching her do it, then that would work. Right. Okay. Ella shahaisa takana b'mishnah rishayna lahamimla. But the Rabbanan made a takana originally that we should believe her. And I think the Ran says the reason why we made the takana is because probably she's telling the truth, because it's such an embarrassing story that she wouldn't do it just to get out of her marriage. To make up a story like this, probably it's true. So, when the later generation of the Tanaim saw that the that she might be like looking at other men and trying to get out of her husband, they reverted back to the original deraisa dekadin that she's not believed. So therefore, they're not really being over on the nissa deraisa. Okay, ulafizeh. According to this, we have to ask a good question here. That the wife, here what's she doing? She's saying, I want to go to Eretz Yisrael, and he's saying no. And then the din is he has to give her a get and a ksuba. So that's a perfect way to get out of a marriage. She likes another man, she'll just say, I want to go to Eretz Yisrael. Boom, he has to give her a get, ksuba, everything. We're afraid that she might be tricking him. Maybe she's thinking about another man. The same chash that we have in that Gemara in the Dharm, when she says, I'm defiled. Even though we can't learn out one gzeir d'Rabbanan from another, maybe this place they made the gzeir and this place they didn't.
And no time they're crab by d'Rabbanan, because it doesn't matter where they made the gzeir.
Right. If they made it, they made it. They didn't make it. You can
make up like your own gzeir from them.
Right. Exactly. Ve'ikal Maamar the v'tzara de gufa shal makam adira He's saying there are reasons also to be mechalik. It could be that when it comes to this thing about defilement, okay, there's nothing really that she has to lose by staying married. But over here, if she doesn't want to live here, then they weren't going to force her to live there. But Sarah de Gufa, it's pain of her body to live in this place. Oy b'makom mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, that she has a mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, she wants to go there Eretz Yisrael. Loy gaz Rabbanan, there the Rabbanan didn't make the gzeir. Oy afsher yesh l'chalik divrei meres tamei ani lach, tuchel hafkiya atzma b'dibura b'alma. V'kani katir chalal lois Eretz Yisrael. It could be the difference is that there, all she has to do is say the words tamei ani lach. Mashenkin over here, if she wants to convince us that she wants to go to Eretz Yisrael, she has to actually go. Not enough to say she wants to go, because obviously she has to go. So ulai kuli hai loy gazminan. So we don't make a gzeir in this case. Ulam chazinan gam b'hach diyan demalin Eretz Yisrael be'eved. That we see that the Rabbanan did have a chash for trickery by the Aliyah Eretz Yisrael. Where? By the case of the slave. Af achar shabarach Eretz Yisrael. Even after he ran away to Eretz Yisrael, shehuminat toira sheyoytzi lecheres. There's a din deraisa that he has to free him. Mikra de loy saskir. V'yapal pichin kosva toisves v'ksubas daf kufilim abeis. The Yerachal Hachi the mishum hachi kamar nichtav lach shtar adamei. Toisves says that the reason why Chazal still said that he has to pay for the eved. You know, the din is he has to free the eved, but he still has to pay him. He can't just. You don't force the master just to give up his eved. The eved could have cost $100,000. Yeah. So he's freeing him, but he has to pay him for himself.
The eved has to pay the master for
the master has to pay the eved. You're right. The eved has to pay the master for his value.
Well, it makes sense because for an eved just to run there to stroll, you're going to take advantage. They will be free, right? You know, and he won't be under his master's power anymore.
Right. So that's what he's saying here. If you're not going to say this, then every slave is going to do this. They'll just run to Eretz Yisrael and get out of their slavery.
And even like a wife could easily just run to Eretz Yisrael, be free her husband, find any man she wants, and be hefker for his nus.
Right. So you're saying
you apply the same thing because the lady would want Eretz Yisrael as an excuse to make his nus hefker.
Right. So this is what he's saying. He's saying that we see Chazal already did have this fear by the case of the Eved. So over here, why don't we have the fear by an Isha? He's saying a kal v'chomer, even by an Eved where there's not such a big avera if the Eved is free for no reason. You know, Vadrabba, Nasa Yisrael Gomer becomes a full-fledged Jew. He has all the mitzvahs now. But still, you see Chazal made this takana because of the loss of the owner, that he's going to lose the whole value of this Eved. So Asu Chazal takana shelo yavkiyu atzma miyad adaneim. They made a takana that he has to pay for himself.
I get close with a woman who doesn't even have any more mitzvahs when she Adrabah, she actually loses more mitzvahs. She doesn't have her husband anymore.
Right, she doesn't get any more mitzvahs, and not only that,
she even loses.
Well,
there are less mitzvahs now that she's not married anymore. She doesn't lose her husband anymore, for example. You know,
right.
And,
so she loses that, but also she loses the fact that we're having to have charistic lifestyle now, and then women could just do whatever they want.
Yes.
It's a big stumbling block here. If ladies could go, they look at other men. That you see in this Ran, the Ran brings down the first shita, that the reason why the Rabbanan said that she's not believed to say she's tameh is because of Efkeris, and we're going so far as to be matir the Ister, which the Raisa is aser because of this problem.
So you're allowed to prevent more serious from coming up.
Right, more serious, not a lavim, but basically a serious lifestyle problem. It's not going to be a lav. There's no lav. If a wife says, give me a get, and the husband gives it to her, no one was over any lav.
Only the Rabbanon made to cover basically,
yeah. There's no guardian for a rise. Once somebody is, once the lifestyle becomes like that, it gets out of hand.
And Eretz Yisrael will be the place of Hefker, do whatever you want.
Yeah. The
current Zionist point of view.
Right, it's like the runaway. That's the asylum for anybody who wants to.
No more mitzvahs.
Okay, so there's a big svar to say that they shouldn't have said this din of Hakol Malin. Because why should you make the wife have a koyach to force her husband?
Oh yeah, the common mishnah which they use to take advantage. They're trying to prove their point.
Okay, so we can't do such a thing. L'maisa Chazal do say hakol ma'alin, so we can't ask kashas why they didn't say that we're choishes for trickery. Give a Mishnah base paragimel the Maseches Yadayim. That over there the Gemara, the Mishnah in Yadayim has a case of one hand is a sheni, and if it touches the other hand, it should become a sheni too. Just like we say that when a hand touches a Sefer Torah is a sheni l'tuma, and the hand should become a sheni. So the other Tana answers back that you can't learn out one gzeir from the other. Whatever they made the gzeir, they made the gzeir, and whatever not.
Right, so apply gzeir this time, not that time later on. We can't go around making inferences from gzeiros.
Yeah.
If I even gave limits to gzeir when it does or where it applies, then we can't draw any inference because it's a gzeir and not derived which we can learn things out from.
Uve'el Yerabah Sham she'af b'kal v'chomer ein l'meidim. You can't even make a kal v'chomer from one gzeir to another. Ve'ein la'asos b'zeh kusha. So therefore, there's no kasha why Chazal didn't make the gzeir by the hakol malin. But what he's going to do with this is at least he'll use it to explain the Yerushalmi that the Maamar Rottenberg brings. The Maamar Rottenberg says that the Yerushalmi says that bisman hazeh the wife can't force and the husband could. So we're going to explain that using this. Even though it's not a kasha on the original Mishnah, we could use this to answer up the Yerushalmi. That's why the wife is less powerful today. That if Bisman HaMikdash there was such a big Indian to go to Eretz Yisrael, Shaloi Levatel Mitzvah Sasei Deraisa, there was a Mitzvah Sasei Deraisa to do it. But Shaloi Liyois Ka'ovid Avodah Zara, but if you live in Chutz La'aretz, it's like you're Ovid Avodah Zara. Therefore, Loi Chashu Bazeh Klal L'Ramois. They didn't care about the danger that she might be tricking him. Bishvil Chashash Shema Einah Nasna Ba'acher, that she's thinking about somebody else. No, Mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael is more important. Avo Bisman Hazeh She'enoi Davar Gadol Kol Kach, that mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael is not so great today. Afsha Adayin Yesh Bo K'tzas mitzvah, even though there is a little mitzvah. Avaloi Ra'u B'Shvil Zeh Lichnois L'Chshash Shema Einah Nasna Ba'acher. They didn't want to risk this problem of hefkeristic life, of looking at other men. Mashenkin Be'ish. So that's why the wife doesn't have koyach, but the man does.
Oh, he permitted to other women. Why not permit to other men?
What?
Because the man is permitted to other women.
Oh. So that's
Gershom, yeah, but
okay, you're jumping the gun. What is what he's going to say? The wife is more powerful because the loy mibaya bisman hashas, not only in the time of the Gemara loy hayach shash klal, then there wasn't a problem at all. The main of nasna b'acheres hayach lagarsha bal korcha. He's not going to trick her to go there to get out of the marriage. He could just get out of the marriage without that. Just give her a get.
Because even Rabbi Akiva, hell, we don't pass like, and he found another one favorite. He found another one.
Right. Okay, it's not the right thing to do, but it's still mutter. It's still the Torah gives a man a koyach to do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think the reason why the Torah gives a man a koyach to do that is because it's not putting the wife's marriage at risk, because really he could marry another wife together with his wife.
Because she's permitted to other women all the way. Chazal just made takana. He has to have enough money to support more households. And Rabbi Gershom made a cherem that even then he's not allowed to.
Yeah, but before Rabbi Gershom he could have two wives, so he's not going to go divorce one just because he likes another one. He'll take them both. So there's no problem by a man of Einam Nasna B'acher. He doesn't have to play this trick. Even now you're going to tell me maybe nowadays this din should change, because now Rabbi Rottenberg is writing nowadays, right after the Cherem of Rabbi Gershom, and now maybe he can't get out of the marriage without her permission, so maybe he's going to do a trick.
And nonetheless, he still has to be able to support the amount of households he's marrying.
Yeah, even in the time of Chazal, he had to
make you have to be pretty much rich for it.
Right. Even one is not easy. So
yeah.
So he says v'afli achra chem der ben gershom diyesh deis b'shulchan aruch evnu ezer siman kufayin ches sif test diyesh lachush gam etzloi. Even by the man, maybe there's a chashash shema ein of nasan ba'acheres. Maybe he's thinking about another woman, and that's why he's doing a trick. Sheyef shel garsha machmis chem der ben gershom, and you can't just be megarsher because she doesn't want. She has to let. Mikol makom adayin chiluk gadol. That if we're going to be choishish for his trickery, that he's going to go and play a trick and get around the Isser to divorce the wife against her will, the whole din of Hakol Ma'alin is going to become batal b'shvil Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, because he won't have the koyach to force her, and she won't have the koyach to force him. Rabbeinu Gershom lo'gazer b'makom mitzvah. Rabbeinu Gershom didn't mean to uproot a mitzvah. V'af shaloi dami kol kach. The yesh l'ramois ein kan mitzvah. Even though you could tie in that maybe if he's tricking her, then there's not really a mitzvah, because he's not doing it l'shem shemayim. He's just going to Eretz Yisrael for a trick. But he says, what about the honest people? He says, if you're going to be choishish that every man who says, I want to go to Eretz Yisrael is lying, then then l'maisa the takana is going to become batal for all intents and purposes. Even for those men who do want to do it for the real right reasons, right? We don't know what he's thinking in his mind. Why should you throw away the Mishnah in Hakol Ma'alin just because of Rabbeinu Gershom? Also, a takana that's written in the time of the Gemara, you can't just change it easily. So, therefore, even though Rabbeinu Gershom came along, we're not going to take away the din of Hakol Ma'alin. Especially when there's a good reason for it. Even now. It's not similar to the case of the wife who wants to go. That she is really married. It's an issa deraisa. She can't force her husband to give a get. And therefore this trick is getting around the Torah, not getting around a takana. There's no kasha why the wife is less powerful than the husband. He says, now we're going to understand the din of Eved. We asked earlier in Siman Beis, I think, started the kasha that an Eved could force his master to go there to Yisrael, and a wife can't force her husband.
I think you just run to Eretz Yisrael, not force.
Both. There's two sifim in Shulchan Aruch. One sif is that he could say, I want to go, and then the master has to give him a get. And the other sif is that if he runs already, and he's already there, the master has to send him the...
Right, so he should be permitted to marry a Jewish woman.
Right. Because of the Torah, the pasuk says, Lo yisaskir.
Yeah.
Okay, so Reishis... So he says, this whole problem that we just spoke out doesn't apply by an Eved. Because Reishis asked to takana be'Eved lichtov shtar adamei. First of all, we deterred the Eved from playing tricks here, because we said, if you're going to go and run to Eretz Yisrael, you're going to be owing a lot of money to your master. That's a big responsibility. There's no such thing that the wife is going to have to owe money to her husband.
The wife doesn't work. The wife is not, has no chiyuv to even work.
Right, but I'm saying even after, let's say she gets out of the marriage, she's not going to have to pay him anything, just to deter her from doing a false excuse. Why? That this problem that she might be looking at other men is not going to be fixed by money, because if it's an Eved that he wants to get free because it's a monetary thing, he wants to have a free life, work for himself, make his own money, start his own life. So you're going to tell him pay money to your master? That might deter him. Mashenkin, the wife, she has a Yetzer Hara of znus. She has a Yetzer Hara for somebody. So that is not going to help to tell her that she's going to pay. Paying doesn't do any good. No guardian can help for a rise. So because the Yetzer Hara is too strong for that. And then he says, "Gamach shasha shebeisha hu inyan chamer yoistemi be'eved." This chash of hefkeristic lifestyle, marriage lifestyle, is more of a problem than the Eved's problem. Eved's problem is more like a monetary problem. Gam inyan hagershin hu inyan kasha yoiser mishichur hu Eved. Also, the idea of divorce is much worse than freeing an Eved. K'may shomer b'gemara soif chulin daf kuf mem aleph. The Gemara in Chulin says, "Shehutzrach kra b'shiluch hakein af l'dvar mitzvah." That we need a pasuk to tell us that we shouldn't be allowed to take the mother bird by shiluch hakein, even if you're going to use it for a mitzvah. For example, to use it for a mitzvah, to make him tahor, to make him clean. One of the halachas of mitzvah is that he's usher to his wife. He's not allowed to live with his wife during the time that he's a mitzvah. So you would think that you could take the mother bird and use it for that, even though it's an avera to take it. Because the asay, the mitzvah asay of making the mitzvah clean, pushes away the mitzvah asay of sending away the mother bird. After my asay, even though I would think maybe, how could you say one positive commandment pushes away the other? Mechtesi, that one is more strong than the other. The Gemara says, I would have thought, since it says that peace is great, even HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name that's written with Kedusha, Yimache, is allowed to be erased. You're allowed to make the Parsha Saita, that if a wife is forbidden to her husband because she's a Saita, you're allowed to write Hashem's name on a Megillah and erase it and put it in the water so that you can be matir the wife to her husband. So I would have thought also that you could take the mother bird and use it for a mitzvah in order to be matir this mitzvah to his wife. So you see that shalom is a great thing, and therefore divorce is a bad thing. Therefore, we want to avoid wives breaking up marriages by doing this more than we want to avoid an eved doing such a thing to his master. V'gam kiven shalom akra behedya lo yisaskir eved. Since the Torah says explicitly that you can't return an eved to his master, so gila lanu akasu beferish shaloi lachush bezel ramos. The Torah says we're not afraid of trickery here. The Torah wasn't given to the Malachim, it was given to people who can't read minds. So, therefore, we don't know whether the Eved's tricking us, and still the Torah says that you have to free him if he runs to Eretz Yisrael. That the din of Isha, that she can force her husband to go to Eretz Yisrael, is only a Rabbanan din, so the Rabbanan would care about whether the person meant it L'Shem Shemaim or not.